I invited him to our vacation. You can stay home if you have a problem with that, she said after I found his name on our hotel reservation. I smiled and said enjoy the trip. Canceled both their tickets that night, booked an earlier flight, and was already at the hotel when they found out at check-in. She left a voice message screaming for 4 minutes straight. I listened to all of it from the balcony, then sent her a photo of the ocean and turned my phone off. Hey viewers, this channel is demonetized. My ability to keep creating these stories is officially in your hands. I want to keep producing, but I need your direct support to stay in business. If you want these videos to stay on your feed, join the Patreon below. You're the only reason I can keep doing this. I found Kyle's name on the reservation at 11:47 p.m. We were 4 days out from a vacation I'd been planning for 8 months. Cancun. 5 nights at a beachfront resort I'd spent hours researching. I'd booked the flights using miles I'd accumulated over 3 years of business travel. I'd put the hotel on my credit card. I'd arranged a sunset sailing trip because she'd mentioned once, 2 summers ago, that she'd always wanted to try it. I'd even called the concierge and requested a specific bottle of champagne, the one she'd pointed at through a wine shop window, and said, one day maybe. This trip was supposed to be the thing that fixed us. The past year had been difficult. She'd grown distant in a way I couldn't name, and every attempt I made to bridge the gap was met with irritation or dismissal. She stayed late at work more often. Her phone never left her hand. When I asked what was wrong, she said I was being needy. I told myself relationships had seasons. I told myself 5 days on a beach would bring back the woman I'd fallen in love with. So when I opened my laptop that night, I wasn't looking for trouble. I was looking to surprise her with a room upgrade. One more gesture. One more investment. One more thing she'd barely notice. The resort's booking portal loaded. I clicked into the reservation and scanned the details. That's when I saw the number. 3 guests. Not 2. I assumed it was a glitch. I refreshed the page. Still 3. I logged out and back in. Still 3. I scrolled down to the names. Primary me. Second, Megan. Third, Kyle. Kyle. The name sat there like a stone dropped into still water, and the ripples spread outward in slow, cold circles. Kyle from marketing. The work husband. The guy she'd been telling me not to worry about since the moment he appeared 8 months ago. The guy whose texts lit up her phone at midnight while she tilted the screen away. The guy who always seemed to be standing a little too close at company events. The guy she defended with increasing ferocity every time I quietly, respectfully asked if there was something I should know. I stared at the screen. The ceiling fan clicked overhead. The refrigerator hummed in the kitchen. My coffee, cold now, sat untouched beside the laptop. And the memories came, not in a flood, in a slow, deliberate procession. The first time she mentioned him. A casual comment over dinner about the hilarious new guy in marketing. You'd like him, she said. I'd nodded and said I looked forward to meeting him. I never did. The late-night texts. I'd wake at midnight to find her side of the bed glowing, her thumb flicking across the screen, a faint smile on her lips. Work stuff, she'd say. Kyle's got a project due. The company holiday party. I'd walked in to find them standing too close, his hand on her lower back, her laugh too loud. When she saw me approaching, she straightened up like an actress caught between scenes. This is Kyle, she said brightly. The one I told you about. He shook my hand with a grip that was just a little too firm, his smile never reaching his eyes. The fights. The 3 or 4 times I'd worked up the nerve to say, calmly, that their friendship made me uncomfortable. Each time she'd exploded. He's just a friend. Why can't you trust me? Why do you have to be so insecure all the time? Each time I'd ended up apologizing. For noticing. For asking. For wanting clarity in my own relationship. The weekend she came home at 2 in the morning smelling of a cologne I didn't wear. Work drinks, she'd said before I could ask. Kyle's going through a rough patch. Don't make this a thing. I hadn't made it a thing. I'd swallowed every instinct, every quiet alarm bell, because I believed love meant trust, and trust meant not interrogating the person you'd build a life with. Now here it was. His name. On my reservation. On my credit card. On the trip I'd poured 8 months of hope into. The room had been changed to a suite with an extra bed. I closed the laptop. I sat in the dark for a long moment, letting the clarity settle into the place where the hope used to live. Then I stood up and walked to the bedroom doorway. She was in bed, propped against the pillows, scrolling her phone. The robe I'd bought for her birthday hung loosely off one shoulder. Her hair was in a messy bun. She didn't look up when I appeared. Her thumb kept moving across the screen. "Megan." No response. Still scrolling. "Megan, can you come here for a second? I want to show you something." She sighed. Not a subtle sigh. A full, theatrical exhale that communicated profound inconvenience. "What's so important? I'm comfortable. It'll just take a minute." Another sigh. She pushed the covers back and shuffled past me into the living room, phone still in hand, thumb still moving. Seriously, what couldn't wait until morning? I opened the laptop and turned it toward her. "Our reservation. It's showing 3 guests. Kyle's name is on it." She glanced at the screen for maybe half a second. Her expression didn't change. No flicker of guilt. No flush of color in her cheeks. No tension in her jaw. She looked at me like I'd asked her to explain something tedious and obvious. "Yeah," I added him. "He's never been out of the country, and he's been super stressed lately. I thought it'd be fun." She said it the way you'd say you'd picked up an extra carton of milk. Casual. Unbothered. As if adding another man to a romantic vacation was a perfectly normal thing to do. "You invited another man on our vacation," I said, my voice level. Without discussing it with me. That got her to look up. Not with remorse, with irritation. The phone finally lowered. "Don't start. I knew you'd act like this. You're so threatened by him, and it's exhausting. He's just a friend. You're being insecure and controlling." Insecure. Controlling. The same word she always deployed. The same script. I'd heard it so many times I could have recited it along with her. "I'm not being controlling," I said. "I'm asking why another man's name is on a trip I paid for." She rolled her eyes so hard her whole head moved. "Oh my God, here we go? The I paid for it card. You always do this. You hold money over my head like I'm supposed to be grateful for every little thing. Kyle doesn't do that. Kyle just wants me to be happy." There it was. Kyle doesn't do that. Kyle just wants me to be happy. The comparison delivered casually, like she'd said it 100 times in her head before tonight. The knife slipped in so smoothly, she barely noticed she'd thrown it. I looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 3 years. This woman whose rent I'd covered when she was figuring things out. This woman who was standing in the living room of the apartment we shared, wearing the robe I'd bought her, telling me that my role was to pay and stay quiet. "So what happens if I have a problem with this?" I asked. She locked her phone with a sharp click, crossed her arms. The robe slipped further off her shoulder, and she didn't bother fixing it. Her face settled into something hard and dismissive. The mask had been off for a while, I realized. I just hadn't let myself see it. "I invited him to our vacation," she said, each word crisp and final. "You can stay home if you have a problem with that." The words landed like a door slamming shut. The ceiling fan kept clicking. The refrigerator kept humming. Somewhere outside, a car passed, its headlights sweeping briefly across the wall before disappearing. I absorbed the words. Let them sink all the way down. And then, without planning it, without forcing it, I felt my mouth shape itself into a small, unreadable smile. Not happiness. Recognition. The kind of smile that comes when someone finally tells you the truth you've been dodging for months, and you realize you're free. "Okay," I said. "Enjoy the trip." She blinked. For half a second, something flickered across her face. Confusion, maybe. A brief malfunction in her confidence. But it passed. She straightened her robe, lifted her chin, and let out a short, satisfied breath through her nose. "I will," she said. "Glad you're being reasonable." She walked back into the bedroom and closed the door. I stood alone in the living room, the laptop still open, the guest count still showing 3, her dismissal still hanging in the air like smoke. I didn't rage. I didn't call a friend. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, staring at the wall, letting the clarity harden into something unshakable. She thought she'd won. She thought the conversation was over. It hadn't even started. I waited until the sliver of light beneath the bedroom door went dark. I waited another 20 minutes after that, listening to the silence, letting her breathing deepen into the steady rhythm of someone without a single worry in her head. Then I sat down on the couch, opened the laptop again, and picked up my phone. The apartment was silent. No light under the bedroom door. No hum of her phone. Just the refrigerator and the ceiling fan and the sound of my own breathing. I opened the laptop and called the airline first. The 24-hour customer service line picked up on the third ring. A woman named Diana introduced herself with practiced cheerfulness. I gave her the confirmation number, verified my identity with my date of birth, and the last 4 digits of the card I'd used. I need to modify an existing reservation. I'm seeing 3 passengers on the itinerary, but I need to cancel 2 of them. Megan and Kyle. Keep my ticket active. Absolutely, sir. Let me pull that up. I heard the soft click of her keyboard. Outside, a car passed, its headlights sweeping briefly across the living room wall. I kept my voice low, measured. I'm seeing the 3 tickets, Diana said. Cancun, departing this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. I can process those 2 cancellations now. The miles will be returned to your account, and the taxes refunded to the original payment method. Would you like me to proceed? Yes. And after that, I need to change my departure. Is there an earlier flight on Saturday? A pause. More keyboard clicks. We have a 6:15 a.m. departure. That would put you in Cancun at 10:20 a.m. local time. Book it. And can you upgrade me to first class if there's availability? Let me check. Yes, we have 2 seats remaining. The upgrade would require additional miles. You have more than enough to cover it. Do it. Done. Your new departure is Saturday at 6:15 a.m., first class, seat 2A. The 2 additional passengers have been removed. Is there anything else I can assist you with tonight? That's everything. Thank you, Diana. My pleasure. Enjoy your trip, sir. I hung up and sat in the dark for a moment. My phone screen glowed on the cushion beside me. I picked it up and called the resort next. The front desk answered on the second ring. A warm, professional voice with a faint Spanish accent. I gave my reservation number. I need to make some changes to an existing booking. The reservation currently has 3 guests. I need to remove 2 of them, Megan and Kyle. I am the primary guest, and I'll be checking in alone. Of course, sir. Let me pull up your reservation. A brief pause. I've removed the additional guests. Will you still require the same room configuration? Actually, I'd like to upgrade. Do you have the top floor ocean view suite available? The presidential. Let me check availability. Yes, we do. The presidential suite on the 10th floor. Private terrace, panoramic ocean views, premium amenities package. There would be an additional charge per night. That's fine. Apply the upgrade. It's done. The presidential suite is now confirmed under your name only. Is there anything else? One more thing. I need to add a note to the reservation. No additional guests are to be added under any circumstances without my direct, in-person authorization. Specifically, no one named Megan or Kyle should receive a key, access to the room, or any information about my booking. I understand, sir. I've added the note. Your privacy and comfort are our priority. Will you still require the airport transfer? Yes. Adjust it to the new arrival time, 10:20 a.m. And make it a private car, please. Done. A private transfer will be waiting for you. Champagne and cool towels will be provided. Is there anything else I can assist you with tonight? That's all. Thank you. It's our pleasure. We look forward to welcoming you. I closed the laptop. Set the phone down. The apartment was still dark, still silent. No movement from the bedroom. I stood up and moved quietly through the apartment. I pulled my carry-on from the hall closet and packed methodically. Swim trunks, sunglasses, sunscreen, the book I'd been meaning to read since March, a few changes of clothes, my passport. I didn't overpack. This wasn't a permanent move, not yet. That would come later, after the trip, when I'd had time to arrange logistics properly. Tonight was about one thing only. When the bag was zipped, I set it by the front door. Then I went to her purse, hanging on the hook by the entryway, and quietly slipped the spare apartment key off her keychain. I dropped it into my pocket. She wouldn't notice until she needed it. By then, it wouldn't matter. I didn't leave a note. What would I have said? She'd already told me exactly what I was worth. A wallet. A placeholder. An obstacle to be managed. Anything I wrote would just be words she'd twist into something that made her the victim. So I left nothing. No explanation. No dramatic farewell. Just the quiet absence of a man who'd finally taken her at her word. The clock on the microwave read 3:42 a.m. I showered, dressed in comfortable travel clothes, and did a final sweep of the apartment. Laptop in the bag. Wallet. Passport. Phone charger. Everything I needed, nothing I didn't. At 4:55, the car I'd called pulled up outside. I grabbed my bag, took one last look around the living room, The couch where I'd sat with her name on a screen, the kitchen where I'd made her coffee every morning, the bedroom door behind which she slept, dreaming of someone else, and I walked out. I closed the door quietly. The soft click of the latch was the only sound I left behind. The airport was 20 minutes away. The terminal was nearly empty at that hour. A few business travelers in rumpled suits, a handful of families slumped over their luggage, the quiet hum of a building just waking up. I checked my bag, breezed through security, and found my gate as first-class boarding was beginning. I settled into seat 2A. The flight attendant offered me a glass of orange juice. Through the window, the ground crew was loading bags into the belly of the plane. The sky was just beginning to pale at the edges, pink and gold bleeding into the dark blue. A new day. My phone buzzed. Megan. I looked at the screen. A text. Where are you? Your stuff is gone. Are you seriously still upset about last night? I thought we were past this. I read it. I didn't reply. A second text arrived as the plane doors were closing. Hello? We need to leave for the airport in a few hours. Don't be weird. I turned the phone off and watched the terminal shrink as we pushed back from the gate. The engines hummed to life. We taxied down the runway, picked up speed, and lifted into the air. Through the window, the city became a grid, then a pattern, then nothing at all. I leaned back in my seat, closed my eyes, and for the first time in months, I felt the tension in my shoulders begin to dissolve. Megan and Kyle arrived at the airport around noon. I know the timeline because she later recounted it to anyone who would listen, each version more dramatic than the last. But the facts were simple. They pulled up together in Kyle's leased sedan, dressed in coordinated vacation outfits. Her in a sundress I'd bought for our Napa trip 2 years ago, him in a linen shirt he'd probably ironed that morning. They were laughing. The easy, giddy laughter of two people who thought they'd gotten away with something. At the check-in counter, the agent smiled. Welcome to Global Airways. May I have your confirmation number? Megan gave it, probably still smiling, still riding the high of her own audacity. The agent typed. Her smile dimmed slightly. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm only seeing one passenger on this reservation. The other 2 tickets were canceled by the account holder last night. Megan's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Confusion, disbelief, then the dawning, horrible realization. Canceled? That's impossible. Check again. There are supposed to be 3 of us. The agent checked again. I'm sorry. The cancellation was processed at approximately 2:15 a.m. The tickets for Megan and Kyle are no longer valid. The remaining passenger was rebooked on the 6:15 a.m. flight. He's already departed. Kyle stepped forward. His easy charm was already slipping. What do you mean he already departed? He took the flight without us. I'm sorry, sir. If you'd like to travel today, you'll need to purchase new tickets at the current fare. The current fare was $1,200 per person. Last-minute international, no advance booking discount, no miles to soften the blow. Megan didn't have it. I knew she didn't. I'd been covering her share of the rent for months while she figured things out. Kyle, after much bluster and a tense call to his credit card company, didn't have it either. They argued with a supervisor for 40 minutes. Megan's voice got shrill. Kyle paced in circles, running his hands through his hair. Nothing changed. The tickets were booked on my account, paid for with my miles and my card, and I'd canceled them. It was all perfectly legal, perfectly clean. Eventually, Megan put both seats on her own credit card. The one she'd nearly maxed out on brunches and boutique dresses. $2,400, plus interest. She swiped it with a shaking hand while Kyle stood behind her, arms crossed, jaw tight. I later heard what he muttered, loud enough for the agent to hear, loud enough for Megan to flush with humiliation. He was supposed to be under control. You said he wouldn't do anything. You said he was passive. By the time they cleared security, their flight was already boarding. Middle seats. Separate rows. No first-class legroom. No champagne. Just the cramped, noisy reality of an economy cabin filled with crying babies and the stale smell of recycled air. I landed in Cancun at 10:20 a.m. A man in a crisp white shirt was waiting at arrivals with a tablet bearing my name. Mr. Redacted? Your private transfer is right this way. He led me to a black SUV with tinted windows, the air conditioning already running. There was a chilled bottle of water in the cup holder and a cool towel wrapped in cellophane on the armrest. We drove 40 minutes along a coastal highway, the Caribbean glittering through the palm trees. I watched the ocean and thought about nothing at all. The resort gates parted, and suddenly I was stepping into an open-air lobby with marble floors and the scent of salt water and orchids. A concierge greeted me with a glass of champagne and a cool towel scented with lemongrass. "Welcome, Mr. Redacted. We've been expecting you." He walked me through check-in personally. "No line. No wait. We've noted your privacy preferences. No one will be given access to your room or reservation without your direct, in-person authorization. Specifically, the names you mentioned have been flagged." I thanked him. I took the elevator to the 10th floor. I opened the door to the suite. It was spectacular. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A private terrace that seemed to hover over the water. White linens on the bed. A soaking tub big enough for three, an irony not lost on me. A chilled bottle of champagne on the credenza, and a plate of fresh fruit arranged like art. I stepped onto the terrace. The warm wind pressed against my shirt. The waves crashed steadily below, a rhythm that seemed to wash away every bitter residue the past 12 hours had left behind. I wasn't thinking about her. That was the strangest part. I'd expected some pang of loss, some phantom ache where the love used to be. There was nothing. Just the ocean and the sky and the deep, uncomplicated stillness of a man who'd finally chosen himself. I ordered lunch. Grilled fish, fresh mango salsa, a crisp white wine. I ate on the terrace while the sun moved across the sky, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Megan's flight landed just after 6 p.m. local time. No private transfer. No champagne. She and Kyle crammed into a shared shuttle van with 11 other passengers and a broken air conditioner. By the time they pulled up to the resort, they were sweat-soaked, exhausted, and barely speaking. At the front desk, Megan approached with the last scraps of her composure. Checking in. Reservation under Megan. Or under my boyfriend's name. He arrived earlier today. The clerk typed. The professional smile gave way to something more guarded. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not seeing a reservation under that name. The booking is held by the primary guest only, and he has already checked in. Right? So just add us to the room. We're the second and third guests." I'm afraid the primary guest left specific instructions. No additional guests are to be added without his direct, in-person authorization. Specifically, the note mentions that no one named Megan or Kyle is to receive a key. The color drained from her face. "I'm his girlfriend. We planned this trip together. His instructions are on file. I'm not able to override them. You're welcome to inquire about separate availability, but the resort is fully booked this evening." Kyle stepped forward. Not yelling, worse. Low and cold, the kind of voice you use when you've stopped pretending to be charming. "Let me get this straight. We flew all the way here, we paid for our own tickets, and now there's no room. I'm sorry, sir. The reservation is for one guest only." He turned to Megan. His face was hard in a way I imagined she'd never seen before. "You told me everything was handled. You told me he was under control. Now I'm stranded in Mexico with no room because you couldn't manage your own boyfriend. It's not my fault," she snapped. "He's being insane. He's doing this to punish me. I don't care whose fault it is. I didn't sign up for this." He walked away. Not toward the bar, not toward the lobby seating, toward the shuttle stop. She followed him, her voice rising, but he didn't stop. He grabbed his bag, flagged down the next shuttle to the airport, and climbed on without looking back. She was alone. Stranded at a 5-star resort with a maxed-out credit card, no room, no companion, and a return flight still days away. She spent the night on a lobby couch before a sympathetic night manager took pity and gave her a discounted room on the ground floor facing the parking lot. She called me that night. Once, twice, 3 times. Then the text started, a rapid, desperate barrage. "We're at the resort. The desk won't let us check in. What did you tell them? This isn't funny anymore. You've made your point. Now come down and fix this." Kyle is furious. He said you're being psychotic. I'm starting to agree. "I'm sorry, okay? Is that what you want? I'm sorry. Now please just fix it." I read all of them from the terrace, drink in hand, the sun melting into the ocean in front of me. I didn't reply. I finished my drink, ordered another, and watched the sky darken from orange to indigo. Then my phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. For minutes and 2 seconds. I didn't listen to it yet. I wanted to let it sit. The tequila was good. The night was warm. The waves kept their steady rhythm below. And somewhere down there, the woman who'd told me I could stay home was learning, in real time, that some doors don't reopen just because you finally decide to knock. I let the voicemail sit while I finished my drink. The tequila was smooth, the night warm, the waves a steady hush below the terrace. Her name had lit up my phone a dozen times since sunset. Calls, texts, another call, and I'd ignored them all with the calm indifference of a man who'd already left the building. When the glass was empty, I picked up the phone and pressed play. For minutes and 2 seconds of raw, ragged fury poured through the speaker. You canceled my flight. You canceled his flight. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've done? We got to the airport and there was nothing there, nothing. I had to pay $1,200 I don't have. You know I don't have that kind of money. And now we're at the resort and they won't let us in. They won't give us a room because you told them not to. Who does that? Who does that to someone they love? A gulping breath. No pause. Just the inhale and then back at full volume. You're a petty, controlling, vindictive little man. You ruined this entire trip because you're jealous of a friend. That's all he is. A friend. But you couldn't handle it, could you? You never wanted me to be happy. You just wanted someone to pay for things and stroke your ego while you played the victim. Kyle is right about you. He says you're pathetic, and he's absolutely right. Muffled in the background, Kyle's voice. Tell him he's a piece of shit. Her voice, slightly turned away. I am telling him. Then back to me, the volume somehow climbing higher. You need to fix this. You need to come down to the lobby right now and fix it. Get us a room. Apologize to Kyle. If you do that, we can talk about things. But if you don't, we're done. Do you hear me? This is it. Your last chance. Don't throw everything away over your ego. A pause. The first real pause. 3 seconds of ragged breathing. When she spoke again, the rage had cracked slightly at the edges. A tremor had crept in. I'm serious. Pick up. Please just pick up. This isn't. I didn't want it to go like this. I just wanted something fun. You were always so intense about everything. I just needed a break. So just come down. Let's talk. We can still salvage this. Please. Call me back. The message ended. I set the phone down on the table. The waves kept crashing. The stars kept burning. I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not grief. Just the quiet, complete absence of any emotional pull toward the woman who'd just spent 4 minutes screaming at me for the consequences of her own choices. I opened the camera, angled the lens toward the horizon, black ocean, silver moonlight on the water, a few distant lights from boats, and took the photo. I attached it to her contact, hit send, and typed not a single word. Then I turned off my phone. I spent the next 4 days in something close to paradise. I swam in water so clear I could count my toes on the sand bottom. I read my book cover to cover. I ate fresh ceviche under a palapa while a warm wind came off the Caribbean. I took the sunset sailing trip I'd booked for 2 and went alone, and it was better that way. No one to impress. No one to manage. Just the boat, the sea, and the kind of silence that restores something in you. She kept calling. The voicemails stacked up, some furious, some tearful, some cycling between both in the span of 30 seconds. I deleted them all unread. By the time I flew home, tanned and rested, I'd already arranged for a moving service to collect my things from the apartment. I'd found a new place through a colleague, a loft downtown, closer to work, no memories attached. While Megan was still stranded in Mexico on her maxed-out card, my closet was empty and my key was on the kitchen counter with a forwarding address for any remaining mail. The first call came 3 days after I got back. I answered an unknown number and immediately recognized the voice. Her mother. Sharp, entitled, dripping with rehearsed indignation. You abandoned my daughter in a foreign country. She could have been hurt. What kind of man does that? The kind whose girlfriend invited another man on a vacation he paid for and told him to stay home if he had a problem. I said, my voice flat. I simply stopped being the host. She made a mistake. A real man would forgive. A real man knows when to walk away. Your daughter made her choice. I'm not discussing it further. You're cruel, she snapped. She's devastated. You're punishing her for one bad decision. I'm not punishing her. I'm giving her exactly what she asked for. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked the number. A week later, A mutual friend, someone who'd always taken Megan's side, sent me a long text message. Megan is a mess. Kyle ditched her the first night, took a shuttle back to the airport, and left her alone. She had to sleep in the lobby. She's broke. She's humiliated, and she just wants to talk. Be the bigger person. She made one mistake. Don't throw away 3 years over it. I replied once. She told me I could stay home. I did. Now she gets to live with that. Please don't contact me about her again. The friend called me heartless. Cold. Said I was punishing her for one little mistake. I archived the conversation and moved on. Some people will never understand that a mistake is forgetting to buy milk, not secretly adding another man to a romantic vacation and telling your partner his opinion doesn't matter. The direct plea came 6 weeks later. A Wednesday evening. I was cooking dinner in my new kitchen, an actual meal, not takeout, because I was rediscovering the simple pleasures of taking care of myself. My phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I answered out of habit. Hello. Don't hang up. Her voice was smaller than I remembered. Quieter. Almost fragile. Please. Just give me 2 minutes. I leaned against the counter and let the silence stretch for a beat. You have 2 minutes. I made a mistake. The tears were already there, right on schedule. A huge, horrible mistake. Kyle was a loser. He ditched me the second things got hard. He wasn't even a real friend. He just wanted a free vacation. He told everyone at work I was crazy, and now I can barely show my face in the office. I was stupid. I was blind. I threw away the only person who ever actually showed up for me. She paused, waiting for me to fill the silence. I didn't. I want to fix this, she continued, voice cracking. I'll do anything. Counseling. Whatever you want. I've been seeing a therapist. I understand now why I did what I did. Just please, can we talk? Face to face. I let the silence hang for a long moment. Then, very calmly, I said, you told me I could stay home if I had a problem with your choices. I took you up on that. There's nothing left to talk about. So that's it. The tears shifted, hardened, revealing the edge underneath. You're throwing away 3 years over one sentence. No, I said. You threw it away when you put his name on a reservation I paid for and told me my opinion didn't matter. I'm just making sure it stays thrown. I heard her inhale to argue, but I hung up before the words formed. I didn't block the number. I simply never answered it again. 6 months passed. I changed jobs, better pay, better hours, a team that didn't leave me drained at the end of every day. I got in shape, not for anyone else, just because I had time and energy that used to be consumed by managing someone else's chaos. I took myself to movies. I visited my parents more. I slowly, methodically rebuilt the life I'd let shrink to accommodate a woman who'd never appreciated the space I gave her. And I met Claire. She was a graphic designer at the firm that handled my new company's rebranding. We met in a conference room over coffee and layout proofs. She had a quiet laugh and an unnerving ability to say exactly what she meant without cruelty or games. I didn't have to decode her. I didn't have to brace for hidden meanings. She was just honest. We dated slowly. No grand gestures. No desperate promises. Just two adults who liked each other and weren't afraid to show it. I didn't post about her. I didn't need to. But word travels in overlapping circles, and eventually it traveled exactly where I knew it would. The wedding invitation arrived in early spring. A mutual friend from the old circle, someone who'd stayed neutral through the breakup, and I appreciated that. Claire and I went together. She wore a blue dress that matched the spring sky outside. I wore a new suit. We walked into the reception like two people who hadn't spent a single minute thinking about anyone but each other. Megan was already there. I spotted her across the room before she spotted me. She was alone, nursing a glass of wine, her dress a little too tight and her smile a little too bright, the kind of smile you wear when you know people are watching and you need them to think you're thriving. She'd lost weight in a way that didn't look healthy. Her eyes swept the room like she was searching for something. Someone. Then they found me. She waited. That was her style, strategic. She let an hour pass. Let Claire and I dance, laugh, mingle. Then, when Claire was across the room chatting with the bride, Megan moved in. She slid into my peripheral vision with a fresh glass of wine and an expression she probably thought looked casual. Confident. The old smirk, dialed down to something she imagined was approachable. You look good, she said. I barely recognized you. Thanks. She shifted her weight. Took a sip of wine. Are we ever going to be adults and actually talk about what happened? I think we already did. You know, she said, a bitter little edge creeping into the casual tone. The way you handled it was actually pretty cruel. Stranding me in another country. Ignoring me for months. I never got closure. I looked at her. The same face I'd once planned a future with. The same eyes I'd watched soften in the morning light of a dozen lazy Sundays. Now it was just a face. No pull. No ache. No anger. Just the quiet, complete absence of anything that mattered. You told me I could stay home if I had a problem, I said, each word steady and unhurried. I stayed home. Then I moved on. That's your closure. Her expression flickered. The smugness cracked, and beneath it I saw something raw and desperate she was trying very hard to hide. I didn't mean it literally. You know I didn't mean it literally. You meant it enough to change the reservation behind my back. And you meant it enough to tell me to my face. Now I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. You're free. I'm free. Let's keep it that way. She opened her mouth to respond, but I was already stepping past her. I found Claire's hand in the crowd, warm and familiar, and she smiled at me without needing to know what had just happened. Later, someone mentioned Megan had left early. I hadn't noticed. I was too busy dancing with a woman who'd never once made me feel like an option. That photo is still on my phone. The one I sent her from the balcony. Dark ocean, silver moonlight on the water, her screaming reduced to silence and pixels. I don't look at it much. I don't need to. I already know what it means. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you enjoy these stories and would like to help support the channel, my Patreon is linked in the description. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments.